It is a good morning. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where talk is real. Truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth and power. Talk.
I got to get my breath.
Oh, my gosh, that was tough on you, girl. So what happens when you miss a day? I'm just saying.
I'll tell you. But what a day it was to miss. I was able to, it takes a lot of time to do programs, and I had one of my clients says, I just don't know how you do everything that you do. And
I usually tell them I don't. I don't get it all done.
I mean, I do, and I work long nights, and I work Saturdays, and I work Sundays, and particularly since this program has started, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the last segment of the program today. So make sure you stay tuned. Well, it's kind of comical because I have a lot of people say, well, you're only on the air an hour, when we were talking about Power Talks, and I just kind of laugh at them. You think you could get ready for a show in just that short a period of time, it just takes an hour. You're not there all day, are you? Well, there's another part of the business that you have to take care of too. And I have clients. I service with financials, with discount gold and silver trading, and we earned a reputation of providing great prices and great service and great shipping. Very quick shipping, and that does come first. And so
stay on top of it.
And I'm not getting any younger, ladies and gentlemen, although...
You're not?
It depends on what day we're talking about.
I went to the elbow doctor yesterday, and his eyes just got really big and this big smile on his face. He says, show me what you can do. And so I bent my elbow up, and I straightened my elbow out, and I turned my arm sideways back and forth, and he looked at me, and he just grinned. He says, that's great, and then he gets really serious. He goes, most people never get it back. And I go, yes! And then I had to confess, well, I haven't really done my physical therapy like I was supposed to. He laughed. He said, well, then you got some good genes. And yeah, I got good bone genes, I guess. But anyway, so I am cleared for takeoff unless it hurts. He says, if something you're doing is causing a little pain, don't do it. So dusting is out. Dusting causes pain, Anyway, so I just had to throw that out because everybody's been asking.
Oh, boy, are you going to be used? Does your husband know that you're going to be using that for a while?
Oh,
honey,
he knows I don't dust.
My elbow hurts, and I'm not supposed to do this if my elbow hurts.
Ow, 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 ow.
Could you bring me another cup of coffee, please?
Oh.
Does he know what he's in for? But I think
he knows.
I think he knows.
It'll be 46 years he's been in for it come July. So he knows. He just rolls his eyes and walks off to his garage. So He's good. Well, we've been funny. We've been cutting up this morning, but I am excited to be healing. I still got a little ways to go. He said some things will take up to a year and a half before it's gone. But anyway, he was very pleased, and I don't have to go back unless I want to, and we'll have to wait and see whether the hardware gets taken out. I keep hitting my elbow, and the hardware is right there on the bone, so we'll see what happens with that. But I had a little, that we've talked about Kanye West a few times this week, and how things have kind of turned around. And, of course, he's being attacked by the liberals, and it's not going to end. The liberal activist group running a powerful boycott against Breitbart News appears to have a new target. They're targeting Kanye West. The group Sleeping Giants, I love that name, has been the driving force behind a boycott against Breitbart, costing the website lots of money. I'm not going to give an amount. This is 90%, estimated 9% of their advertisers. The group is now targeting West's partnership with Adidas. So because of his controversial remarks about supporting the president, wearing his Make America Great hat, and I don't know if you read it I had an article yesterday, Melody, and he's been doing this for a little while, but now he's got a lot more people involved with him, and he's doing some work in Chicago to try and turn some of these little areas that are so violent and poverty-stricken around, to try and help them and lift them up. And that's what I made the comment yesterday. You know, when you do good with what God has given you, you don't take a knee on the football field. You go to your community and you help those that are less fortunate. You help them get their selves up and going. But so that's what Conway's doing. And you can, you know, I'm not a lover of the rap, or I don't know about his clothing line. I never check it out. But, you know, he's a successful man. And he's made a comment, but apparently free speech, and you're not free to have that speech, or you're not free to have an opinion, or these groups are going to go after you. And so they're going after Kanye West, and we'll see what comes from that. But I thought that was interesting. He is really under attack, but it's, you know, free speech and free thinking is just not allowed, especially if you're a black person. And that is such a shame, because that is slavery. So he's not allowed to think for himself. Whether you agree with him or not, he's not allowed to think for himself. So no free thinking and no free speech for Kanye West, according to the sleeping giants, who are now going to try and go after any of the people that he endorses or that endorses his products or music. And Adidas is one of them. So they're going after him.
Yeah, one of the Detroit radio stations, they're pulling his songs. They said they've had enough, and that's their choice too. And but you know, it's for the wrong reasons. And but you know, and so I mean, I agree with you. I mean, this is just, you know. You know, he also had made a comment that when you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice. And so, you know, it's just not all about Trump. It's a lot of, but, you know, he has every right to say what he thinks and what he, you know.
Well, when you stop and think about the slavery for 400 years and what he actually meant with that, he wasn't incorrect, but everybody takes it on this one level, literal level, and they think, oh my gosh, like my grandparents or great-grandparents wanted to be slaves, and that's not what he meant at all. He meant the slavery of the mind, which is exactly what they're trying to do to him now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, no, I agree with you, and I'm, you know, I don't want it to sound like I'm coming across, but those were just some of the things, and Detroit, and so, you know.
Well, they're going to pick at everything, and you and I both know that they will pick at every single thing, and you are really good at having the articles from Buck Buchanan, and I have one, but I don't want to share it till later in the show, that I thought was very interesting. But I also wanted to, while we're doing the absurdities, I have to confess, and I'm very, very ashamed, because I've had quite a crazy week, but I'm very ashamed that I didn't realize yesterday was National Day of Prayer.
National Day of Prayer, yes, it was.
I missed it. You should have told me.
Well, I did, but you weren't listening.
Was it a subliminal message?
Yes.
So I'm just embarrassed that I didn't realize it. I didn't see it in anything, any of my emails or anything. I didn't see it anywhere. But anyway, it was National Day of Prayer yesterday, and I heard about it last night when I was watching the news, and some of the pastors were talking about that it's not just National Day of Prayer, that many of these pastors of all denominations are in the White House on a daily basis. They're welcome there. They're in the White House. They're praying there. And we have never, if it's happened, we have never, ever heard that before. Never. But anyway, he had his big speech, and he signed his executive order for, what do you call it, the White House Faith Initiative. But as he's done with this and he's walking away, some ignorant reporter that hasn't got a clue, no respect for prayer, no respect for the president, no respect for anything, starts shouting out, what about Stormy Daniels? And the president, I think, just continued to walk off. But other people in the crowd were very disgusted, not at the president, but at this reporter and the rudeness and how they use that. This is a quiet moment. They just got through with all this, and then shout something like that out. And it's, I guess, free speech. I don't know. But it was really, it's just where we are, Melody, and it's just, I got in trouble just moving my legs too much in church when I had a little dress that had the petticoat under it, and I was sitting because it made a really cool sound when I ripped back and forth on it, and I got in trouble for making noise with my dress when I was a little girl in church. Anyway.
It's people are angry. People are ugly. People are nasty. They have to complain, and it's because they have no faith. It's because they have no love in their hearts, it seems, anymore. And it's we have gotten to the point of so divisive. Them, us, this, that. If you're not for it, there is no discussions, no talks. Something in the news that you don't hear about. There was a New York judge ruled that a condominium building on the city's west side isn't obligated to keep President Donald Trump's name emblazoned on it. This is dealing a blow to, and this is dated yesterday, a blow to the Trump organization with efforts to stop a growing movement among Trump-named buildings to ditch their affiliation with the president. And this is the Trump Place, a high-rise at 200 Riverside Boulevard on Manhattan's Upper West Side, would become at least the seventh building worldwide since the 2016 election to remove Trump's name, joining other New York structures and hotels in Canada and Panama. It's... the New York Justice Branston said Thursday morning that the board's licensing agreement with the Trump Organization doesn't obligate the building to display his name, and it goes on and on and on. So here's just another thing that it's just like, there are so many other people that the media could focus on that really do bad, nasty things. Why don't they rail against, Sharpton and his taxes?
Oh, my gosh.
And his taxes. Why don't they go after Farrakhan, who talks about killing white people and starting wars and their blood is going to be in the street? Why don't they go after these people who are truly, truly nasty? But we know the answer to that. And it's good grief. And this was
just. Do you think removing his name from the building is going to remove him from the presidency? Because it's not going to do that.
No, it is.
And excuse me, I got a little choked up there. But anyway, you're absolutely right, and it's gone beyond reason. There is no reason to do these things. Why did they buy the tower in the first place? Of course, I guess you can, remodel and make it out what you want it to be. So I guess you can take his name off of it. But that doesn't take away the fact that he was the one who built it. It doesn't take away the fact that he is the president of the United States. And you can call him all kinds of names and scream all kinds of absurdities during a prayer session. You can do whatever you want, but it's not going to change that he's president. And Buck Buchanan, I don't know why I keep saying Buck. Patrick Buchanan made some really good points in an article, and I want to talk about that here in a little bit. And I didn't know if you had seen it or not, and I had watched some lawyer. Well, he wasn't a lawyer. He's an investigator. He used to work for the FBI, and he's been long time retired, worked there 30 years, and he made some statements last night as well as another one. And I'm thinking, we have been so duped. And the American people need to stand up and say enough's enough. We're going into a break. We're going to open the phone lines. Oh, my goodness, it's Friday. That's Open Mic Friday. It's 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218, and we will be right back.
Since the beginning of the United States, kings have sought it. Nations have fought for it. It has been.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Before I get to Pat Buchanan's article, I was going to share this. The D.C. think tank, it wins the FOIA case against climate crusading New York Attorney General. It says the New York court ordered the Attorney General Eric Schneiderman Thursday to fork over public information about elements of his climate crusade to a libertarian think tank in Washington, D.C. The New York Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Competitive Enterprise Institute in a case involving a series of documents conservatives believe could reveal a coordinated campaign against global warming dissenters. If you're a non-believer, you're in trouble. Schneiderman has consistently used his state's Freedom of Information law to block past requests. Does that sound familiar? Mm-hmm. So the appellate division is the latest court to reject the Attorney General's bogus excuses for hiding information from the public. And the CEI attorney, Anna St. John, said in a press statement, announced the decision, "We hope this ruling will encourage the Attorney General to be more transparent about his office's activities." We think, here we go, we've got Rosenstein, or whatever you want to call him, telling Congress, you can't extort me. No, they can. It's not extortion. They're the boss, and you need to fork over some information that they've asked for. And so here we go again. And this Attorney General there in New York has been defiant. And what it sounds like they've done is the same thing that what was her name? That was with the IRS that was discriminating against conservative groups. Can't think of her name. Anyway, she was in a little bit of trouble. Well, not really. I mean, she was in the news, but she didn't get in any trouble. She just changed positions. So, anyway, we have Neil from Missouri. Neil, how are you today?
Oh, doing all right. This the last thing you mentioned for the break was something about people being duped. And that just set off something in my brain, and I just started sitting here making a list.
We've been duped a lot, haven't we?
Oh, no kidding. I mean, with a matter of less than a minute, I came up with 8 or 9 different things that people have been duped out of in this country as far as their rights go. You know, we've talked about some of these before, but they've been first of all been conned into paying all kinds of taxes they don't owe. Okay, which like the income tax. Okay, if you don't use Federal Reserve notes, you're not obligated to pay a tax under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. You have real estate tax, which if you have the title to your property, the actual title, which is the land patent, then they can't make you pay a real estate tax. They make you pay taxes on the right to travel. Okay, the licensing fees on the driver's license, personal property tax on the vehicle, motor vehicle registration tax, none of those apply to people that are simply traveling. Those only apply to people who are using the public roadways as a place of business. In other words, they're out there hauling for hire. You've got as far as taxes go, the personal property tax that people, they put on mobile homes and four-wheelers, off-the-road vehicles and things like that. If you're not using those for business purposes, you don't owe a personal property tax because that's how the law defines personal property in the state of Missouri, and I think most other states. It's defined as property which is held for or used for business purposes. They've conned people out of the right to discipline and to take care of and determine what happens with their own children. Because once you get that marriage license, the license tells them that the children can't be white, and if the children can't be white, they can't be United States citizens. They have to be 14th Amendment citizen subjects. Just like, being subjects of the Queen in England, you're subjects of the U.S. government if you're a 14th Amendment citizen subject. And so that county people needing those marriage licenses are just getting the paperwork in order so they can claim jurisdiction over your children. And that's why they can tell you what to do with them and make them get vaccinated and all that other garbage. And then the Social Security con. All right, if you get a Social Security number, you're trading your rights under the Constitution for privileges and making yourself a 14th Amendment citizen subject with privileges only, no rights. They con you out of your titles, title to real estate. They're not telling you that the title to real estate is the land patent. They're not telling you that the right to the vehicle is the manufacturer's statement of origin. It's not that certificate of title that they send you from the state. That's just certifying that they've got your title, which is the MSO, Manufacturer's Statement of Origin. You've been conned out of your rights under the Second Amendment. They tell you that you can only have a gun to protect yourself and your property and, self-defense and defense of others. No. Second Amendment's all about protecting yourself against criminals in the government. And you have the right to anything that can be used to kill them, which includes tanks, napalm, aircraft, bombers, anything you would afford to have, you have the right to have under the Second Amendment. Machine guns, the whole 9 yards, and they have no authority, no right to tell you can't have that.
I agree.
But that's what they've conned the people into. So just right there, in less than a minute, I came up with all these.
Yeah, those are legitimate dupings. That wasn't what I was speaking of, but those are legitimate dupings. But I was kind of talking about all this distraction with they're going to indict the president or sue the president or subpoena the president, all this and that. And several of them last night were talking about you can't do that. And they were reading, and I can't remember where it was in the Constitution, and they were reading it. And the only ones that have a right to do that is Congress. And so Pat Buchanan was writing an article, and he agreed with these others that I heard last evening. And I thought, you know what? He's absolutely right. But he said the president ought to just say, go ahead, impeach me. Just go ahead and do it. And anyway, I get a big kick out of Pat Buchanan. I don't know if you read his articles or follow him at all, Neil, but I get a big kick out of him, and I really do enjoy his commentaries when I see them. And I this one came across last night, and I got a big kick out of it. He says, if Donald Trump does not wish to collaborate in the destruction of his presidency, he will refuse to be questioned by the FBI or by the grand jury or by special counsel Robert Mueller and his malevolent minions. He says, should Mueller subpoena him as he has threatened to do so, Trump should ignore the subpoena. He said, frame it up, put it in a frame on Trump Tower. He says, if Mueller goes to the Supreme Court and wins an order for Trump to comply and testify to a grand jury, Trump should just defy the court. He said the only institution that has any empowerment to prosecute the president is Congress. And so here we are listening to all this stuff and listening to all these guys sit there and jabberwocky, talk, and none of it is legitimate. None of it. So anyway, I appreciate the call, Neil. I think we lost him, but I appreciate the call. But that's what I was talking about, Melody. We have just been duped with all the distractions. And, of course, mainstream media is not covering this stuff. They're only talking about Stormy Daniels and how they don't like the way Melania dresses, or they don't like this, or they don't like that. They have nothing significant ever really to say. And Fox News, they're going off, and you hear all these other people that are talking, oh, well, this is what he should do, and this is what he should do, and this is so 3 times in 12 hours, I heard the same words. They have absolutely no power to do anything to the president. The only one that does is Congress. And Congress can't seem to get anything done with Rosenstein, so why don't they send somebody over there to arrest him? If he's not going to do what Congress says, and he's telling them they're extorting him, we're talking about an arrogance that is way out the wazoo. And these guys need to be brought down to where their level is and know who they are. They are way too proud of themselves, and they need to be brought down. Anyway, I really got a lot out of Pat Buchanan's article.
You know what? I mean, I did too, and I thought that was great. And I don't know. I understand.
I hear a but coming.
No, there's no but. No. It's my way of, processing things, and I do ask questions, and there's things that it makes me question. You have, and I agree with Buchanan. He should say no to everything. But the key word that he said there, the only institution that is empowered to prosecute a president. So if Mueller goes and asks him just to question him, is that the same as prosecuting? And if Trump defies a grand jury, then and again, I'm no attorney or anything. It's just, maybe I watch too many cop shows on TV. But if you defy a grand jury, then there would be prosecution because you're defying the grand jury, and then Congress would come into play. And I do believe that if Trump did answer Mueller's questions, they certainly would, do everything possible to, use it all against him.
They're asking him
should plead fifth. He really should be the fifth.
They're setting him up because what did you think on this day? How do you feel about such and such, or on this day, how did you feel?
Yes.
And those are stupid questions. And they have no proof.
But they have no questions on where those questions came from. Who really wrote those questions? Did they really come from Mueller, or did it come from his Sekulov, or whatever the guy's attorney's name is? And that one lady, Jay Sekulov, and there's the one conservative talk show person who keeps asking the question, and nobody can answer. Nobody says no, he did not. There's no direct yes or no. No one really knows where they came from.
Supposedly, I thought they were leaked from Mueller's office.
Well, that's what they were all saying, and then the other step. But supposedly, what came out was this attorney is the one who drafted these 49 questions. And
the reason. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, and I apologize.
But no one confirms anything, and she's asked. Did he or didn't he? Someone needs to answer that question, and there's no one answers the question. So you'd have to think that since they're not saying it was Mueller's, or I don't know where they came from, but again, there's, and does it really matter? I don't think it really matters. Well, I think just what matters is.
My point is, and the older man that I heard talking on Lou Dobbs, very, very upset with how things have gone in the FBI. He was head of the FBI, I think, there, or high up. I don't know if he's head or not. I think he was for 30 years. And he says they've got these guys he said they need somebody that's an investigator, that's the head of the FBI, not these attorneys.
True.
But the reason this is set up, as far as it's to protect the president from exactly what's going on right now. He's not supposed to be above you and I. That's not what it's about. It's about protecting the man that's the head of this country.
Absolutely.
It's about keeping him protected so that he can carry on business, like national security, so that he can do things that he's supposed to be taking care of and not distracted by such things as what this is, and be a target for every little thing, which is what they're doing. So under the Constitution, it has protected that position. And the only ones that can go after him, and they have to have proof, which they do not have and that is Congress. And of course, then I'm sure you saw where they've got and I don't know where I have that article because I had that from yesterday or the day before, where they have found where several, and they don't have all the names, but have made big donations to this side that is going after to impeach the president and harass the president. And it is Congress, it is senators and representatives, and a lot of them are Democrat, but I'll bet you my bottom dollar, or what do they call it? I'll bet you my bippy, that there's a few Republicans in on that too. And,
absolutely.
You know they are.
Congress is worthless. Congress is worthless.
Congress is the biggest threat to the national security, to our economy, to everything, to our liberties. Congress is the biggest threat. And people have got to understand, you need to stay on top of your congressmen, your representatives, and your senators. You need to be there constantly holding their feet to the fire and pushing them in the corner until they say, you know what, I'm not going to be this anymore. And
but you know what, I don't and this is my own person, I don't understand, and it's because I'm not a billionaire, and it's because I haven't used the media my career, and I get that about Donald Trump. He has used it, and I think that might be his problem. But if I knew, just like Pat Buchanan said, that the only one that can prosecute him is Congress, you know what? I don't get why Rudy Giuliani came out in the manner that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't understand that. And then you have Kellyanne Conway, her husband's coming out, and it's just like they opened up a can of worms, and their best defense would be to be quiet and carry on your duties and show everyone what a great president you are.
And that's something that, and this is going to another direction, kind of, sort of, but that's something that I have often wondered, because they're so quick to judge. Why isn't he doing anything? Why aren't we hearing from him? Where is he hiding? And they're talking about Sessions. Maybe Sessions is doing something. Maybe Sessions does know something. Maybe we ought to just respect the quiet man for a little bit and see exactly what he's up to. Well, let's let it ride out, and maybe that's what's going on. That's what's going on. But
President Trump should learn from Sessions to be quiet. That's all. But personally, I mean, it's there was just an announcement that they have chosen a place and a time, a date and a place, a location for Mr. Trump to meet with North Korea's president,
Kim Jong-un.
Mm-hmm. And so they haven't given that information, but so. Instead of sending Rudy Giuliani out there to, create problems.
Well, maybe that was a distraction. Maybe that was a distraction. Maybe they do it on purpose. I don't know. Are you there?
It just opens, the door for, then you have all these distractions, and then they're part of it too. So, who knows? We got Joe in Arkansas calling us this morning. Good morning,
Joe. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. Yeah, I wanted to say something about.
Wait a minute. You know what? On Fridays, Joe, I'm starting a new rule. On Fridays, you have to sing "Good Morning." No, just kidding.
Have to sing "Good Morning"?
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I wish you a good morning.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, will that do?
That'll do fine.
Okay.
I forgot to tap dance.
Oh.
Well, I'm wearing sneakers. I can't tap dance.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll do it for you, Joe. I'll do it for you, Joe.
Okay, I just wanted to point out another point of left-wing progressive hypocrisy, as if there aren't enough of them. But here's another one that comes to my mind because of the Kanye West situation, and that's this. Okay, they claim that they believe in evolution, and they claim to be progressives, and they claim to be the vanguards of evolution, and that whatever it is that they advocate is progress. It is the next step in evolution. But if we take evolution as they conceive it has happened, what we see is that as you go further and further and further up the scale of evolution, you see the development of more and more and more individuality. Like, for instance, the creatures that they consider as low creatures, which are not highly evolved, such as earthworms, maybe grasshoppers, ants, sardines, kind of low creatures like that. They don't have much individuality. One is pretty much just like another one. But when you get to the creatures that are higher on what they consider the scale of evolution, more highly evolved, the larger mammals especially, such as the horses and elephants and whales and dolphins and maybe dogs to some extent, they have a lot more evolution. They're more intelligent. They have more individuality. I think apes and monkeys also would, especially apes, would qualify as highly intelligent creatures with a lot more individuality. And, of course, at the top of their evolutionary scale, they put humans, and humans have the most individuality. But what they want to do with what they call progress is destroy human individuality. They're always denouncing individualism. They're always glorifying the collective. They're trying to get people to behave together like an anthill, like a common herd. Everybody in the herd doing the same thing and thinking the same thing. They're trying to destroy individuality, but they claim to be in the forward vanguard of evolution and progress, in which case, if they really were what they claim to be, they would glorify individuality and be trying to increase individuality and have a great respect for individuality. So that's just more left-wing progressive hypocrisy that I wanted to point out.
That is good. I like that. That's really good. Thank you, John. Thank you for singing and putting up with my silliness. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
But you're absolutely right, and they go into this group thinking. They want everybody to think the same thing. So if Kanye West doesn't think like other black people, then they're going to, they're just going to go after him. They're going to, try to ruin him financially in every which way they possibly can, just because he didn't think like them, And it's the same way with other people that they're going after. At least you can see Kellyanne Conway and her husband must not see eye to eye on everything. I think he's come out a couple of times now saying just be quiet. But I guess he has every right to say something regardless of where his wife is working.
Well, I wonder, and this thing with Sarah, I felt worse for her yesterday than I did for the when they came out and asked her. She knew if the money was being funneled, and she's been saying all along that it wasn't, and I truly believe she did not know. And
I don't think she knew.
And I truly believe they lied to her, and I'm not so sure she'll put up with that. I mean, if you ask a question and no, it's so because I don't think it's the first time, and so I don't know how much longer she's going to put up with it. I mean,
well,
she's
it's nothing new for a White House to lie. I mean, look what they did when Stephanopoulos was Clinton's, and they lied to him constantly. Oh, they lied to him all the time, and he did get a little bit upset about it, but not enough. But
but I think
it's going to be interesting to see what she does.
I think Sarah's a little bit different.
She has some integrity.
I think in the way she was raised and her faith so I wonder how long she's gonna hang out. But anyway,
we'll see. She's been awful good. I really like it.
Excellent at her job.
I
Absolutely
think
excellent at her job. And I think she does her job probably better than any of them. I do. I mean, that's how much I
respect her.
Mm-hmm.
She's done.
Yeah. And what she goes through. So I think she does a better job than Kellyanne.
Mm-hmm. Kellyanne got him elected, and that was the first female that could do such a thing.
She was powerful in that. But anyway.
And and the other thing is, just to go back to what Joe, the hypocrisy of this left is how they have gone after these women, these successful women who have done what they've done, and they have gone after them. Sarah and Kellyanne Conway and some of the others they were talking about the other day, that the other young woman that worked for Donald Trump, how they went after her and tried to destroy her. And I can't remember her name right now. I want to say Hayes, but I don't think that's Hope. That's Hope.
I can't think of her last name, but Hope.
It starts with an H, doesn't it? Maybe not. And another law guy, and we're going into a break. Dershowitz exploded. I've seen him do this before, but I guess I did not see him do this time. I guess he really exploded over this stuff that's going on, and he says, I do not want to live in a police state. Now, he is a libertarian, and I don't agree with everything Alan says, but he has been very outspoken, and I have appreciated some of his insight on some of what's going on, and he's really gone after this time. And he's right. We've been talking about a police state for a long time. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. It is Open Mic Friday, 717-300-1218 in Melody and Beth Ann. We'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed. It has been purchased. It has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Constitutionally a lot wiser than I am. He's a staunch, well, I say staunch, he's libertarian, although he's a Hillary, he has no bones about telling you that he voted for Hillary, he liked Hillary, and so I don't agree with him on everything, obviously. But he says, I guess he went on a rant yesterday and said, I don't want to live in a police state. Now, he's a constitutional scholar. We're talking about Alan Dershowitz, and he delivered this heated takedown Thursday of lawyers and civil libertarians pursuing Donald Trump for a crime despite multiple probes failing to find any evidence after more than a year of investigating. He says, I do not trust the government. I do not trust judges. I do not trust prosecutors when they are zealously seeking to go after a particular target, in this case, Donald Trump. Nobody would have been going after Michael Cohen if it weren't Donald Trump's lawyer. That's the reality. Say, people don't investigate campaign contribution lapses or campaign rule violations generally about people who aren't in the public life. And he said, and I just worry that when you have somebody with a target on his or her back, whether it is Hillary Clinton or who could have been elected and had the same thing happen to her or Donald Trump, that civil libertarians ought to express concern. I don't want to live in a surveillance state. I want to do everything in my power, no matter who the target is, to prevent this from occurring. He goes on, he says it was Lavrenti Beria who told Stalin, show me the man and I'll find your crime. He says you can go through the federal criminal code and find crimes that virtually any businessman, any politician has committed. It is so easy to get a warrant. It is easy to persuade a judge to give you a wiretap warrant. That simply doesn't protect American citizens, and any civil libertarian who was exposed to what's going on here today, if Hillary Clinton were the subject, would be taking exactly the opposite position. So I think he's going after some of those on Fox News, too. There is so much hypocrisy, partisan hypocrisy out there. I don't mind if conservatives take the view we ought to trust government, or former prosecutors take the view we ought to trust government. My gripe, he says, is against civil libertarians and criminal defense lawyers who are always on the side of challenging the government, the ACLU, who have suddenly lost its way and forgotten what they've preached for 50 years because it's Donald Trump they're after. He's been going after the ACLU. I've seen him do that before on air. And we're going to go to Tom real quick. Tom, we're in the final segment. I need you to make it real quick. How are you doing today, Tom?
Fine. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I was just going to talk about...
In all fairness, I should make you sing, too.
Hello?
In all fairness. I said in all fairness, I should make you sing Good Morning as well.
Oh, you don't want to hear me sing, really?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. This will be my song and dance. In 1919, they passed the 18th Amendment. That was prohibition. And then shortly after, there was the Roaring 20s that led to the Depression. And, I'm seeing the same pattern going on in this country when, back in the 60s and 70s when drugs started becoming popular, like marijuana started becoming popular, and they really started cracking down on it. And, we've kind of gone into like a roaring 20s kind of thing, and where, the economy now is getting totally, so weak because of debt. And, I think that it's actually people like, subconsciously when, in 1919 when they made a bunch of people criminals for having a drink, which, I enjoy a drink once in a while myself. Just because it's legal doesn't mean I go out and get hammered every day. But I think, people got self-destructive of their country. In other words, people in finance and that, and they just copped an attitude of what the heck, this will go down, things crash, so what? And I think the same thing's happening now because of prohibition, because it's so against the common law. When there's no damaged party, when there's no victim of a crime, and then they try to make it a crime on technicalities, people just don't believe it's a free country. Then and then that leads to
it's only free for them. It's only free for them. That's what they believe. It's just them, and it's just become it's greed. It's the nature of man. It's greed. It was greed in Prohibition. People were making money. The Kennedys got rich during Prohibition. It's greed, and it goes on and on and on, and it doesn't matter what the particular item is, or whether it's prohibition for alcohol or something else. I mean, look what they've done with cigarettes. They tell you can't smoke them. Oh, unless you pay us a huge tax, we're going to punish you because you might get cancer. So it goes on and on and on. That it's control and it's greed, and we know that's what's going on with this immigration. We know that's what's going on with the trade issues and has been. Congress is the biggest threat on American liberty. They're the biggest threat on our economy. They're the biggest threat to our national security because they hold things in their hands. They could have stopped this stuff with Donald Trump a long time ago, but they chose not to because a lot of them are in on that Trump wagon to try and get rid of him. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate your call. You got some wind going into your phone there. Appreciate it, though. Are you there, Melody? Did I lose you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, there you are. There you are. We have real quickly here, there's a combat vet, an Army combat vet that is running for Senate in Michigan against an incumbent, a Democrat incumbent. And his first ad, I guess, came out. I didn't take time to watch it. I just read the article here about it. But he says, hunting terrorists in the skies above Baghdad, there are two things you need: faith in God and a Hellfire missile. His name is James. I lost his last name. I lost his last name. I'll get it here in a second. But anyway, he said he said, I flew Apaches because I wanted to take the fight to the enemy. And now I'm volunteering for a new fight to secure the borders, defend our constitutional rights, and protect Michigan. I hate politics, but I love my country. And I thought that was so, I can't judge the man's heart. I don't know where his heart is, but I know we have somebody like that running here in Missouri for Senate. He has been a fighter pilot, and that's what he did. His name is Tony Minetti, and he's running for senator here. We're trying to unseat Claire McCaskill, and I have a young woman that's running as well. I really like both of these people and a couple of others that are running in the primary. And she has been a pastor in the inner city of St. Louis, and she's running, trying to get Constitution and Bible back. When you visit her booth, she's handing out Bibles. So we have some good people that are trying to make changes, and whether it gets done or not, I don't know.
I am looking forward to this year's elections because I think, contrary to what everyone's talking about, and the Democrats are going to be, taking it, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think, the people that you've just mentioned and so forth, I think they have a good shot.
Yeah.
Because people are still tired of what's been going on. And so I'm kind of anxious to see this year's elections.
I think it'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, Melody, I'm not sure how to start this.
I know, and I'm going to be you know where I'm going.
I know where you're going.
I'm leaving it up to you.
All right.
Get the tissues, everyone.
Okay. The good mornings will never end. But Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann is going to come to a time of reprieve. Melody and I have enjoyed this hour with all of you tremendously. You have no idea. We have sacrificed our time, and gladly we have done that, to try something new. A female duo on the radio. To our knowledge, no one else has done that. And we have heard a lot of positive feedback from you. And our businesses, we need to have priority in the business. And so we're going to step back a little bit. And we might be back. You never know. That's why I use the word reprieve. But for now, we've had to come to the decision to take a break from Power Talks. But we will never, ever stop singing and tap dancing our way through life to make this nation awake and aware. Melody will still be with you every afternoon on her fabulous show, Financial Survivor, and I'll be with you each weekday morning on CSE Talk Radio. And Melody and I will continue to duo up occasionally on those shows. You can listen to us, and we encourage you to stay with us here for our last Power Talks, when we will sing and tap dance with you until May 21st, which will be the 200th Power Talk show. Remember, no matter the weather in the sky or in D.C., God gives us a lovely morning, and we are all blessed to be here together, standing for His kingdom and for common sense, for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, property, and prosperity. How great and wonderful. You have a great and wonderful weekend. And join us back on Power Talk Monday morning. We'll do our best to fill these next couple of weeks with power, talk, and fun.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, Nations have fought for it. It has been traded. It has been borrowed. It has been purchased. It has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.